Perfect. You see that hole at the bottom for the rock? It's perfect. So there you go. That's the insert. So I'm going to show you how to create an inlay or insert like that using Autodesk Fusion 360 and Orca Slicer. I'm not an expert in either, but I can show you what I know. Okay, so we are getting this mesh into Fusion 360 using the insert mesh command. Next, we're going to convert this into a solid object because right now it's a mesh. You can see it down here, it's yellow. So we just go to mesh and convert, select the object. It gives us a warning having more than 10,000 triangles. I think it's not that bad, so it's gonna do fine. But if you want, before conversion, you can go to reduce and maybe reduce the triangles by 25% maybe. So there we go. You see, it is cleaner this way. And now we go ahead and convert, and it's still going to complain, but it's still gonna work. I can see that it's not that bad. Takes a little longer to convert. Okay, here we go. So now this is a solid object which we can edit. We want an inlay in here, an insert. So I'm going to add a plane, create a plane through 3 points, and I'm going to choose 3 points here. 1, 2, and 1 on the top somewhere. There is some indentation there, so I don't want that, but maybe this point. So now we have a nice flat plane across the top there. That's great. Now, yeah, also we have a bunch of these which we don't really need. All these rocks. Okay, so that's the only thing, basically the only thing we need, or maybe these two parts. These two parts we will need. And I'm going to do something strange, and that's because I don't really know everything about Fusion 360. So if I just started to create a sketch, you see, I create a sketch on this plane, and I would draw the shape of that insert. If I did that, it would snap to the actual 3D point, and it wouldn't be flat. So I like to hide these, but then I don't see where to draw the shape of that insert. So I will re-import that mesh like that. So this is just temporary. It's in the same place because I haven't changed it the last time. So now if you look, it's in the same place where the solid is. Okay, so now we have that plane. There we go. Now I add the sketch to that plane. And now, having the solid turned off, I can draw the shape of the insert. Now, it's going to be a little surprising because you see, as I start to go around, I'm not trying to make it exactly the shape. My only aim is to make something, actually something bigger than the insert is going to be. Now for the last point, I'm going to turn off the mesh and then close this shape. So this shape looks very different, or looks different than what we actually need, but this is going to be okay because we are going to use the actual tombstone to cut away from this. Okay, next we're going to take this shape and extrude it all the way into the object. It's going to want to cut by default, so it is trying to cut the tombstone. We want the opposite, but for now we are just going to create a new body out of this. Okay. Now regarding the front, I think this is going to be good. Now we could actually offset the top by maybe 0.5 millimeter, so it starts a little lower. There we go. And now it cuts into the material. But it's important that this should be a new body. Okay, so we are going to call this the inlay or insert. Okay, and then comes the boolean magic, and here comes nothing. We click on the combine option. We select the target, which is the insert, and select the tool bodies, which are going to be the heel and the tombstone itself. We want to cut these away from the insert. You see they turn red, they became cut tools, kind of. And hopefully, pressing OK, we end up with a perfect insert. If I'm going to, actually there are lots of parts to this, so there are some fractures, so we are just going to turn off most of them. This is the last one is the actual piece that we want to keep. We are going to work on it a little more, but the rest, these we can just remove. And here's the insert, the perfect shape insert. It even matches the every little nook and bump on the back. Now if you want, you can actually go ahead and trim it a little bit. I'm going to do that because this could be a bit too tight a fit. It's easier to do it in Orca Slicer. So let's say we are happy with this piece. We can just take it, export it. So we can call it tombstone insert or version 0. There we go. In Orca. Can be any printer. I'm going to drag this insert in here. So this is the little insert piece. See how perfect it is. Now these fractures at the end, at the bottom, we don't really need those, so we can use the standard Orca Slicer cut tool. Maybe let's look at the front of it. Something like that. And Let's just push it down. Maybe. There we go. See, we are just going to cut away that junk from the bottom, only keep the upper part. For now, let's not place it on the cut. There you go. Now we are going to cut a little more from the back. It's just easier to do in Orca. Now, I should have prefaced this whole procedure. Blender might be a much better tool for this, but I don't know how to use Blender, so these are the tools I know how to use. Okay, you see, we do another cut. So now the bottom is really nice and clean. So at this point, we could go ahead, place it on the face. You could put your text on here, even using Orca if you wanted. And this should fit. To make sure it really fits, refer to my Lego Man video. You can adjust the XY contour. Set XY contour to a negative number. Let's just try something outrageously big. So I will put 2 millimeters here and slice. And as we do, you will be able to see that how much it shrinks. No, actually it grew. Yeah, positive value will grow it. So -2. You see how much it shrinks? Okay, so you don't need this much shrinkage, but you can put maybe 0.3, 0.4, 0.2, whatever experiment, how much smaller you need to print it to easily fit into your 3D print. A little bit of experimentation, but so that's when you print it. You don't want to scale. Shrinking the contour works better. I would say go with a 0.2 or maybe even the 0.4 millimeter shrinkage and test. So this is how it looks. Now, if you don't want these bumps at the back because you only care about the shape of the curve, you could actually slice it that way as well. So you could cut away, cut this very top. You see there, you could take these bumps and only keep the purple part. I'm actually going to export both. So I'm going to take this object, export it as an STL for you. So this is tombstone insert V1 flat. And I'm going to undo this last step and export it as well. As V1 bumpy. I'm going to do 2 more things to really test things. First, I'm going to import this original tombstone, and we'll try to fit this in there. Now to do this, I'm going to change the color of the tombstone to something else. Let's change it to just red. We want to align this insert. with the tombstone. Okay, let's see. There we go. Try to move it in place. Yeah, it's difficult to move it in 3D space. It's going to be much easier to insert it. But that seems to be a pretty nice fit. Okay. I've just realized something. Maybe it's not a problem. This rock in the front could be problematic. I should have cut that out of that little rock. I should have cut it as well. But otherwise, it looks fairly nice. Okay, so in Fusion, the beauty of Fusion is that you can actually take things back. So going back all the way here, let's find that rock. Which was it? Of course, it's always going to be the very last one that I check. So that's the rock. That's the rock we would also want to. So it's number 4. Okay. So going back here in the combine command, I pick up the combine command. Can be edited. Edit feature. Okay, we are back, you see, and we only have these 2 objects selected. Now we are going to add one more, this rock as well. And now carry out the cutting. Okay, and going back to the end, see, now the object has that little pull on it for the rock as well. Okay, so now I could export this for you. We'll call it tomb. Let's just do it using this command here. So it's tombstone insert v2. Okay, and coming back to Orca, we're going to import it in Orca. Okay, and we need to do basically repeat, because Orca is not as smart as Fusion, where you can replay the rest and make changes in the past. So we will have to slice this again, but it's not that difficult. Yeah, colors are very important here. When it turns purple, then you can move it. And if you move it down here, it's gonna snap to these points. these angles. But if you move your mouse outside, you can rotate it much more smoothly. And if, of course, if you bring it all the way in, it's going to snap to these 45-degree increments. So we want to move on the outside to have the cut angle exactly the way we want. I want it to cut all the gunk away while keeping the length of the front. So that's why I angled it this way. And now if we carry out the cut, keeping the upper part, getting rid of the purple lower part, now we have that nice shape. Of course, it's going to be a little bit harder to actually print, because now if you place it on the flat front, it's going to have this unsupported part. You can try to print it like this, or you can support it, or you could cut maybe a little bit more of it. Let's try this. Again, this time keeping the purple part. See? It's a little easier to print. Still, I was careful to keep the front as long as possible while cutting away the back. It's going to taper in the back. And again, don't forget, when printing, don't forget this XY contour composition. Okay, so it was good. It was good that we checked this new shape is much better. Let's add one more color. This new shape is going to fit much better. I could add this to the assembly. Okay, now I did. I could take this insert out, bring this other one near, and this might help us align it similarly. Okay, so now we are ready to push it in. It's a much nicer fit this time. Still not perfectly aligned, but we are getting there. See? And now that rock is perfect. You see that hole at the bottom for the rock? It's perfect. So there you go. That's the insert right here. That's the insert. You will be able to put it in. This took a little longer than I thought. Let's clone this whole thing. Everything is cloned, yeah. And from this one, I'm going to delete the unwanted parts. And this is the piece that we are going to lay flat. Maybe rotate this a tiny bit and export for you. So this is now the bumpy version, V2 bumpy, and we could go ahead and make the flat one. I leave that to you. Now the second thing I would want to test is with your 3D scan. So here's the original 3D scan that you sent me. See? Now that I look at it, it might not even have that rock. Okay, but let's lay it on its bottom. So there's the tombstone. Kinda. Yeah, this 3D scan is really messed up. You should have at least cleaned it for me when you sent it, because this is just a bad scan. Okay, but anyway, I was just curious if you can fit the insert in the 3D scan version. I think the more important question is the original model, but let's see. So we assemble these two, pick up the insert. Look at that. Even this one fits. Look at that. And it's good that we made a inset for this rock as well. Just look at that. This is crazy. So it fits perfectly into the 3D scanned version as well. So I'm going to send you version 2 and versions 1 as well, and you can go ahead and play with it. Now, of course, so nothing at this point, nothing stops you from adding text on it. You could go ahead, use the text tool and cut into this. Just put test on it. And there you go. We have a lot of junk on this build plate now. So this one is the actual test version. Let's try to slice it. And you see, it now has the, of course now I'm working with a 0.6 millimeter nozzle, so it's kind of ugly, but there's your text, and you see, and it's pretty deep. You will probably not want a millimeter deep, and pretty large and everything, but the idea is there. You can now easily print this.